So today we are going to do the talks moment. So let's get right into it. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan, but you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. A tapping? Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped on your face as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Cove, can't you use the door like a normal person? Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way was a true Coveism. He'd rather scale your house than wait the couple extra minutes for you to come down. What if I was changing up here and then he viewed me with his eyes and stripped me of my maiden virginity? You stood aside to give him space. Waken held out a hand. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. Though considering how many times he'd done this, he'd hardly needed the help.
Hey.
Hi, what's up? Sup? Welcome home. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. It'd make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly with a strange, pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone ringing cut him off. You both turned to where it rested a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. Why do you think he takes his route to get in? Oh my god, Cove's a peeping Tom. He's probably seen us naked so many times and just pretended like he hasn't. Oh no. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check it. It could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker in your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. With a nod, you accepted the call and set it to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all? Or did you hear about her from Cove? Huh? No, she hasn't called me. But Cove is with me right now. What haven't you told me, Cove? Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no before realizing that it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it.
No.
Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore. If she ever did... Girl, are you just having some kind of panic attack over there? What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah? Why do you think that? She sniffed and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night, watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay just to spend the night and she could text her parents what happened. But Terry really didn't want to. You glanced at Cove. So what's your problem, dummy? He looked equally unsure about you. He looked equally unsure as you about where this story was going. It didn't sound like a friendship ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah. And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was wrong, what was really wrong, or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end?
No.
We got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home and he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed rest. But that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore. What do you mean she isn't talking to you anymore? Like you messaged her and she's ignoring you? How long has it been that she's left you on red? Because it sounds like you're just being a little dummy. Girls and their bee fighting? Oh dear. You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor, but Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry.
I mean,
There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad, or that she's just done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's sniffing continued. You'd hope she'd had plenty of tissues handy. Yeah, it's not a big deal, honestly, but I feel like Miranda's gonna be like, get pissy at an answer like that. Like, I hope Terry's alright. Miranda gave only a feeble hum in response. Your brain struggled to get a grasp on this host situation. Ah, my alarm's going off. Alright. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done. Like, okay, is your reaction to all this? Yeah. I thought she'd have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. It hasn't even been like 8 hours since then. Can you just calm down? Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. You should be a little bit sorry. We were together alone in our room, in my room, so you know what we were about to do. Apology accepted. Don't worry about it.
right.
You can tell us things. How insecure do you have to be to think your friendship is over because of this? Very middle school type drama. I know, and she's 18. What's up with that? Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That really didn't seem like an especially productive point to end the call. Though you weren't also sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing on his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. Yeah, this was gonna be fine. Everything's gonna work out just fine. It was no fun hearing Miranda so sad, and you could definitely empathize. But right now, there was no reason to get too worked up. It was only a matter of time until Terry reached out to someone, and you were sure hearing her side of things would clear it up. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and flopping back on your bed, you stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Ghost's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He'd stopped pacing, but you still saw a perturbed look on his face. Can't believe we're actually... She's actually got into you, Cove? Why do you even care? This isn't a big deal. Is it really something we should get involved with right now? Cove's mouth pressed into a hard line. At that moment, it seemed like the two of you. It seemed like the two of you were on very different wavelengths as to how to deal with this.
Come on.
I want to talk to Terry. She's my friend too. It's not a big deal, but fine, Cove. Whatever. Fine, then let's call her. Cove looked away and pulled his phone out. You went over and stood at his side as he was dialing. Cove let it ring and ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Your shoulders slumped and Cove looked even more troubled. If that was possible, he turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text just like, hey, I was trying to reach you. Call me or something. Yeah, she probably just has some family crap going on. You guys need to stop harassing her. You took up your phone once more. Unfortunately, another set of interminable rings. After another set of interminable rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflate. He rubbed his arm, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. Oh my god. I don't like this at all. They're fighting. We barely know anything, and we're just supposed to wait and see. I can give you a handy in the meantime if that would make you feel better. Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something, and you frowned as you watched him. There's no way Terry has answered you. You need to try to relax. You need to try to relax. Cove stared hard at the screen, as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, his gaze slid over towards you. Just a little bit? Come on, you're working yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands, as though it might fly away if he let go. He looked to you with almost painful earnestness.
Well...
Should we... What do we even say if we do hear from one of them? His pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe? He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. Cove is so worried and caring. Cove is... he's just getting swept away with Miranda's nonsense. We should find out Terry's side of the story. We should only tell them to work it out between themselves. Why do I have to come up with things? I don't know, honey. This is all... You need to calm down is what you need to do. Why do I have to come up with things? Cove turned his head away from you and caught the unhappy look on his face. It already irritated you that he expected the two of you to fix their problem, but now you were okay, I'm not annoyed at him, but... I mean, I'm annoyed at him, but I'm not going to be visibly annoyed at him. So let's dial that back. I'm not going to be openly annoyed at him. We should figure out Terry's side of the story. I'm sure that's what he wants to do. Nothing could be done until you know what she thought of this. That much was certain. Cove nodded slightly in agreement. The way this moment could have been anything else, but it's this. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend or explain. Yeah, that might be the only way. You can't do that. Miranda didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us. Wait, what? Miranda didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us? Oh, I think? Okay, I think I get what she's saying. I think you're pushing too much. That's not a good idea, Cove. Yeah, that might be the only way. When the two of you are on the same page, he steeled his gaze to prepare for taking this next step. Cove's fingers worked furiously, yet carefully. He was giving his full attention to his words. You sidled up next to him and looked, trying to watch what he was writing. Cove rapidly typed out, "Hey, Joseph and I really want to talk to you." You can go ahead and just delete my name from that text. No need to include me on that. I'm not really part of this. Miranda told us what happened. Please reply back. And sent. It was done. We'll just have to see what happens now. I wish you weren't so concerned with everyone else's feelings but mine. I mean, I'm not gonna be a little bee here, but you are being stupid. Really hope she gets back to us soon. Wait, can we do something else now? You're being dramatic. Ah, that's the one I want to pick. That's the one I want to pick. Oh my god. I don't want to be mean to him though. I really hope she gets back to us, okay? I really hope, okay? I won't be mean to you, Cove, but I'm thinking it. I'm thinking it. Because you are a little drama queen. Alright, me too. From his face, you could tell that wasn't going to do much for him. He was going to be stuck thinking about this until Terry replied. That was something else you had in common. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration at the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly. Thanks, Joseph. I'm glad it's just not me with all this happening. I guess, whatever. I think he must have some kind of anxiety disorder or something. Cove took one last look at his phone and then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. So you do want that handy. I'd like to be alone. Could you leave? Okay, I'll smile just a little bit. Sort of like a fake smile, like, no, that's great, Even the slight lessening of tension between you and Cove was working wonders on your shaking heart. The last thing any of you needed was more division among your friends. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours, but likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. Don't worry, Mom, we're not doing anything in here. Cove turned me down 3 times when I asked for a handy, so it's fine. There's no hanky-panky going on. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? When she saw your morose expression, she opened the door all the way and the question was dropped. Mom was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside your space.
Everything okay?
What's with the long faces? Are you both okay? We're okay. Your body language could not have contradicted you more strongly, and you knew it. You couldn't even lift your eyes off the floor as though the weight of your worry was dragging your head down. Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry to hear there's trouble with your friends. Sweetie, is there anything we can do to help? I don't think so, Ma. Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts, or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Mom gave you a soft smile and added, This'll be good, especially since it might help make up for what happened at the farmer's market. Nani? Continuity? So, I guess if... Interesting. I guess if you do the other one before, it'll mention this? Does the game keep track of which ones you do in which order? Yes, it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. Don't sweat it. Not so, kiddos. Leave things to us. Just relax, and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded, and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flopped down on your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check, and his eyebrows furrowed. You could never imagine Cove getting mad at us. Well, Cove should never get mad at us. We have a lot of reasons to get mad at him, though. Still nothing? Yep, this is crap, huh? Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek, as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible. So, oh well, I guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. Yeah, it makes me feel horrible too. Okay. In your lap, your hands momentarily curled into fists. Okay, it's not that. No, I'm not that. I'm not genuinely feeling that. So no, I'm not curling my hands into fists like Arthur. Okay. You're right. It can't be helped.
I know.
He replied like he could barely muster the strength to speak. Well, we just have to focus on things we can impact, or at least try. You turned to Cove, hoping her eyes conveyed the message you were feeling better than your words. What? His gentle nod told you that they did. There was a question you had to ask. Is it because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair, a strange smile spreading across his lips. For him, the pain struck close to his heart. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amidst his faraway gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's just like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated, in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. But when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong, and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. You tried to imagine your moms breaking up, and the very idea scared you. But Cove had endured that for real. I'm sorry.
Joseph.
Yes? What? You want that handy?
Don't worry about it.
No. It's okay. Despite that revelation, Cove reassuringly gazed at you reassuringly. It's not like that anymore. Things are so different now. I don't even think about it. Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though, I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. You placed a hand on his shoulder, you hugged him. Is it kissing time? Maybe it's hugging time. You crossed the room, picking up a little bit of speed, and Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a nonplussed look. Aww. When you collided into him, wrapping your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs, all the mystery was gone. Cove squeaked.
Oh.
What did you think I was gonna do? He returned the gaze longingly. Exhaling, you pressed your cheek into the warmth of his chest. The tension stuck inside you and released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of this hug told you that Cove didn't plan on letting go anytime soon. You both needed comfort and closeness, just for a little bit longer. When he finally did, he kept hold of your hand. The two of you took a seat again, this time side by side on your bed.
Well...
Today was a lot, huh? Not really. This Terry drama was the only thing that happened, but fine. I guess it was a lot. I guess I understand. You got some kind of issues from childhood. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it was. I mean, you were a lot today, so yeah, today was a lot. So, you sat there contentedly, you caressed his hand. Now, holding with both of yours, your thumbs lightly brushed his skin as you admired it for a moment, and then you laced your fingers with his again. Cove studied every move you made with a doting look. No matter what happens, we can make it work. This game is making me depressed. Because girl, I'm never having this. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled.
Me too.
I think so too. He couldn't sit still anymore. Cove leaned in delicately, pressing his lips into your forehead, and he raised one free hand to lightly touch your jaw. The breath got caught in your throat. When you remembered to breathe, blood rushed to your face, turning your skin a deep red. You tried to not think about how hot you were feeling, because after everything that happened today, you were just grateful for the moment. And for a while, you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you, and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated, and I think my butt plug just vibrated. Guess which one I'm more concerned about. Well, you better find out if it did. Right? He patted his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. Miranda's probably just gonna be like, "What the F, guys?" I can't have one family night with my parents without all of you exploding on me. His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry. Thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked back at you, eyes wide as his nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? Ask if she's talking to Miranda. Okay. He flashed you a shaky smile as he began to type. You suspected that he had similar thoughts himself but wanted the reassurance of a second opinion. Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent out. Ah, it's Terry again. She's talking to us. She asked about what Miranda said, but wait. You leaned in watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's gonna call, actually. Cove held his breath as he waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. You can go ahead and just turn that speaker mode right on off. I'm just gonna go on my computer, browse Twitter a bit. I don't need to be part of this. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Joseph is here too. Hey, Terry.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usual quick patter and energy.
Are you okay?
Yeah, are things okay? God, my throat's so itchy. I'm trying to scratch the back of my throat with my tongue. Ugh. I don't know. Probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? Don't you know already? Miranda explained some of it, but it doesn't make sense to us. You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much. I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies. She super liked that I'd never ever seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one and then another and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. What's the tea, Terry? Terry? It was Randy, you know. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. Totally. Oh, that was actually Joseph. Totally. Then I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out. I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She just kept coming up with ways to make it better, and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I really couldn't answer all of them. I don't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem, and Randy was there, trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone, but then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started having a fight in the kitchen. It woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. Problem solved. No, I mean, yes, kind of, but no, I think problem solved. This conversation's over. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to have him drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start, and I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So, I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want, she'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line, but he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. You looked at Cove, hunched over on the phone, staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing, but what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. Oh my god. I'll bring her without saying a word, just because I know that you'd want this. I don't care. I'm doing this begrudgingly. Terry might flee from the call if you told her what was going on. You wanted to make sure they spoke to each other. Yeah, middle school drama. Terry had an anxiety attack. Miranda overreacted. Just say sorry to each other and solve the problem. Exactly. You slipped your phone out. In the background, you could hear Cove and Terry still talking. You began dialing. Well, they were distracted, then set it to speaker and waited for Miranda to join.
Hi.
Hi, Joseph. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. What was that? Terry shouted a question, confirming that she'd heard Miranda's arrival too.
What happened?
Oh, what was that? Cove glanced over his shoulder towards you, swatting the phone in your hand. He smiled ruefully. He'd sussed your game. Randy? Terry? Realization that they could hear each other was dawning over all parties now. You decided to help it along with an explanation. Miranda's on speaker with me. Terry's on speaker with Cove. Oh. There was a pause while the two of them digested this information, considering their next words. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break and wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. It's like we're here we really are here just to, see the tea. It's like, they can talk to each other without us, you know? We don't need to have a conference call. We shouldn't need to do a conference call. The answer came in the form of one sniff followed from another from Cove's phone. Sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me. Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being wrong.
What?
No way. Everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful.
Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell phone right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip.
I don't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I'd have told you right away.
Miranda murmured on the other end of the line.
You didn't want to say anything. Wait, no, you didn't want to stay.
Wait, no, what?
You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you. And you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing and didn't want to help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh.
When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late and watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway, but I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive.
If you were playing this, you'd skip this entire moment.
Hardly, Miranda. Eckert having a flaw? I'd never heard of such a crazy thing.
Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now. Even Cove's over it now.
Sorry?
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy, Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Joseph and Cove.
She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Combe room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tinkling gently like the wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye.
Bye and good luck. Bye, you got this. Ugh, idiots. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. So if you haven't told Cove about the money, it comes out here? What? I told him a while back in the... Which moment was it? I don't know. It was a step 2 moment in which we watched his family have a bunch of drama. I don't remember what moment that was, but I remember the drama and watching it. The room felt emptier without the others' voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arm to his sides, letting his head down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. They shouldn't have involved us in that. I'm so relieved it's okay. You were simply happy your friends had made up. The day's events had drained you. You were content now that Cove seemed at ease. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict, because that was awful. We could all probably do that. We could all probably be better at that. I think you did okay. You did okay. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed at his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods?
Huh?
Oh, no. Forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original vision had been thrown off so kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he'd first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered that he'd been pretty perky when he arrived this afternoon. What is it? Good news? Cove brushed his hands against his now folded arms shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure if it counts as news or even good. It just is what it is. I'm happy about it, though. Come on, no more hints. You gotta tell me now. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet, as if a different posture might give him support he needed for the conversation. I don't want to make it a big deal, but I kind of... well, not kind of. I just know what my sexuality is now. Well, you've kind of been dating me for a while, so I'd hope. Oh. A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True. It was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more. And glad he wanted to share that with you. Ah, that's great. Tell me. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. I'm demisexual. I'm going to actually strangle you. So, you know, most of the time, I don't really have those kinds of feelings. Physical wants and stuff. Isn't that the stupid... I'm sorry, I'm being very dumb-phobic. Isn't that the stupid one where it's like, I'm only attracted to people based on their... based on, like, our emotional connection to each other, or something? I think that's what it is. I'm sorry, I might be triggering people. Let me look it up, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, only people they have an emotional bond with. Okay. Yeah, okay, Cove, whatever. I know. F off, Cove. Oh. Oh, I hope you're joking, Matthias. Anyway. How dare you, Curl? I am Demi. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, is that not just pansexual? I mean, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Like, we all only like people that we like, that we have emotional bonds with, right? I don't know. So most of the times I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. Well, that kind of, screws me over, don't you think, Cove? Kind of makes all my forwardness all the time seem a little bit desperate and pathetic. It's only in some situations when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected to someone that I start to ever think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, I'm demisexual. It made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit how I felt. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm pan-romantic. Okay, we can stop throwing out the words out here. Because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything. So, yeah. That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a lot of time with trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Alright, no, this was just for comedy. I don't have anything against demisexual people if you're in the chat. I know one of you is. I have nothing against you. This was just comedy. Cove looked down at the floor, being so I've already read that one. Didn't I read that one? Yeah. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. That's really nice to know. Have I ever pushed you or made you feel uncomfortable? So does that mean you're thinking sexual things about me? Cove flushed and frowned equally hard at the statement. He struggled to get out a response. Yeah. Alright, okay, well that's good. Why is it weird for him? We just went off on a spiel about our sexuality 5 years ago for him. Yeah. Alright. What kind of thoughts? Joseph, you don't need to ask that, but I want to know. You weren't sure that was true, but couldn't help chuckling at how bashful he was. And no matter what, you wouldn't be getting a more explicit response than that right now. The topic was dropped. What about like some BDSM stuff? Do you want to get like suspended in the air? All this talk of co-sexuality made you reflect about your own. Nothing's changed since I was 13, girl. My feelings hadn't wavered. Cove had known for years now. It was heartwarming that he'd reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt even closer. You felt his tiredness deep in the marrow of your bones. It had been a trying day. Now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least, and you had earned a rest. You had some good talks and come out of it, not only knowing each other better, but yourself too.
Hey.
We should probably head downstairs soon, if your moms are still wanting to get together. Yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Good to see you both.
Hey!
Here we were, trying to corral everyone into a group, with the two of you already upstairs the whole time. Of course, we were together. You paid Joseph to stick with me, or did you forget? The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked at each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that one. There is apparently an 18+ DLC. I think there is. I think I saw something about it on Patreon. Or something. I don't know. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down yet.
Can we hear exactly what this secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
Alright. I'd better get everyone up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, but perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. That first day I met Joseph, I'd been worrying about Cove being alone for the summer.
Well...
There weren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly on the best of terms with me at that time. He glanced around at your family, gauging their responses. I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered him $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that he couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Ma was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected. But after a while, I really did honestly forget it even happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he'd probably manage to block it in time. I know that's bad, but I've had so many grand ideas over the years. It's hard to keep track of them all. Cove smiled, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you. Though, also, I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next-door neighbor, while Ma had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed. The Amazons are upset at you. Submit, lowly male. Get on your knees. Alright. I'm sorry, Joseph, and I'm sorry to your parents too. That was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. Your moms gave each other that look where they seemed to communicate with eyes alone.
Alright, well, that's that then, and it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
It definitely won't.
Alright.
When you tell him now when he's 18, Cove's reaction is different? How different? How different we talking, sis?
Good.
It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time ago now, and you were sure your moms remember those painful early days of Cove's arrival too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, your mom gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Now that it's settled, why don't we find something to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group in a couple waves at the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets.
How about cards?
There was a murmur of interest from the others. You were keen to play, that was fine with you. You'd play along with the others. Most of the group was eager to play, but Mr. Holden was demurring.
Nah.
I think I'll sit this one out.
Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you.
Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove, you're an adult now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card games so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second-grade secret he was revealing today. I know people want to be taken seriously, and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kyra knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it, sure. Though, looking back, it makes sense.
That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kid gloves off and give them a run for their money. Maybe even actually money in your case.
Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
And why not?
He waved his hands expansively, the movements fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I'm something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his eyes fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration nestled among the shock. The other members of the Tsubasa family exchanged looks. ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Sharkman. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely.
We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action.
Well, I might be able. Though, who knows, maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the game up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
Alright.
Alright. I can dust off the old tricks. Don't go easy on us. Cove beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Liz darted off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time in proving his word true, wiping the floor with all of you. You played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden, only just to try to increase the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If these were his skills now, rusty with disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by this strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, yet simultaneously you felt more tired together than you had been before. That is the end of the Talks moments, and we finished it today. That's yay!